All right, friends, so we had a baby.
Yay!
She's here,
She's here.
and she's doing great.
Yeah, it's a girl.
It's a girl. And Joelle broke her leg in the process too, before baby came.
Yeah.
So
not while I was having a baby, that would be something, but before baby came, a few days before.
Yep, so there's been a lot happening here on the farmstead. We haven't really been putting too much out there just because we've had a lot to deal with
We've
here.
been surviving.
Surviving, for sure. But we want to share all about it, just update you on the birth and everything leading up to it.
So before we dive into all the details of Miss Clara's birth and my broken leg and everything that's been going on, we did want to just take just a minute here to fill you in on one really quick, really cool opportunity. So we were recently invited to be a part of this off-grid homestead bundle, and so we spent like the month of February working super hard to create an ebook of all of our favorite homestead dairy recipes. So cheddar cheese, mozzarella, and tons of others that we just love in our staples in our home. And so we put together this ebook and have collaborated with 100+ other creators to create this bundle that includes over 100 ebooks as well as courses on all things homesteading and off-grid living and all of that. So gardening, animals, the gamut. And so they're selling it for a limited time for just $50 to get 100+ ebooks, tons of courses, so much information packed in just until Saturday. So we are in March. So March, is that 30th or April 1st?
I think it's April 1st.
April 1st. You can get that entire bundle for $50. It's a really amazing resource. And yeah, we just really appreciate it. It's a really sweet way to support our family and support the work that we do here. So
yeah, we'll include a link to it below in the description. If you click our link and use that and purchase it, we get a pretty generous portion of that, so we really do appreciate your support with that.
Yeah, but on to the story.
On to the story. So where do we even begin with this? So we were past Joelle's due date.
Yeah, we were 4 days past my due date.
Yeah, and we were just waiting for baby to come.
And all the rest of our kids have come by 4 days past my due date. So they've all come. We have 3 other children. They've all come 3 to 4 days past my due date. So the latest being 4 days past my due date. And that's the day that we're talking about.
Yep. So we were expecting this little one to come at any point. Mm-hmm. So Joelle was actually out back walking in the field, just kind of
trying to, get baby
moving
to come.
groove, get baby to come on out. And I was actually out there too. I went out there to do some seeding, reseeding of our back field where our cows graze on. And Joelle kind of went back to the house for something, and she came back out, and I was like in the way back of our field, and I hear this scream, this like deathly, awful scream, and I never want to hear that noise again come from my wife, but it was awful, and I just ran. I dropped what I was doing, I ran to her, and as I'm running, I'm thinking like, goodness, we are having this baby right here. There was still snow on the ground. Like she's gonna just, she's having this baby. there's nothing we could do about it. But then I get there and I realized she had slipped and fallen in the snow. It was like this icy snow slush mix. She slipped, fell, and it was just the right angle. I guess your leg.
Yeah, my leg I just went down. My leg went off to the side, and I heard some noise that you never want to hear when you fall, a crack, snap, pop, whatever. Something went down, and I couldn't get up, and I knew that this was bad.
Yeah,
it was bad.
It looked really painful. She was in a lot of pain, and I didn't know what to do. I mean, it's me and then our other little kids and my, 40+ week pregnant wife there on the ground. Like, what am I going to do?
Well, he did the thing that any farmer would do, right? He grabbed our wheelbarrow.
That was the only thing that came to mind. Like, I tried to lift her up and walk her in, but I felt like this was going to do more damage, and we had more of a chance of slipping on the snow again. And so, I went into the barn, grabbed the wheelbarrow, and said, "Honey, hop in." So I loaded my pregnant wife with a broken leg into our, poop-covered wheelbarrow, and she got in and took her back to the house in that. Mm-hmm. And we got inside, got her laid down kind of right inside the door, called some of the neighbors who thankfully were around and came over to help us from there. But
thankfully they had an extra set of crutches and some strong young men, boys who could help us
Yeah.
and could watch our children. And so they helped me get loaded up into the van, and we went off to the emergency room right then and there. So I was really afraid that they might. So we were planning a home birth for this little one. That's what we had done with our previous couple children. And so we were excited for a natural birth at home. And so I was really afraid that they might, I don't know, at the hospital try to induce me or try to, I don't know. I just wasn't sure what was going to happen there. But so we went to, but I had to go. I mean, my leg, I could not put any weight on it. It was big, swollen, in a lot of pain. So we went to the emergency room, and it was a typical emergency room visit. It took forever.
Yeah.
And no one seemed to care, actually, that I was pregnant. Like, they were just, like, get in line with the rest of them. And
she was, like, game face on, like, preparing for, like, you know, we're here for the leg, not for the baby.
I was ready to advocate for myself, so I was keeping it straight-faced, even though inside I was, like, sobbing, just from all of the knowing the realities of having a really injured leg and needing to deliver a baby at any point. It was really hard. But we kept our game faces on. We went to the emergency room. We were there for several hours before we were seen. But we found out that I had broken my fibula, so that's the bone between your ankle and your knee on the outside. And so I had broken it cleanly down by my ankle, and then there was another small break on the back of my tibia, which is another, like, back there by my ankle. So it was broken in 2 places. Thankfully, the x-ray looked like it was a clean break, like it wasn't displaced, so it didn't seem like I was going to need surgery. However, I was in a lot of pain. I was going to be in a lot of pain, so they put me in a temporary cast and sent me home and told me in a week to go visit the orthopedic doctor and get a permanent cast on. And in the meantime, go have a baby. So that's kind of where we were left.
Yeah. The surgery was the big concern there. Like, we were so grateful when we found out that it didn't look like we would need surgery, because that, on top of having a baby at any point,
sounded awful.
Would be really hard, and it was already really hard. So yeah, I think, I don't know, from there, so the leg break really seemed to, like, set things back with the birth quite a bit. Like, we're guessing that had that not happened, like, Joelle would have had the baby within a day or two, or pretty soon, but, like, everything.
I have been having, like, prodromal labor, like, regular contractions every evening for days prior. Like, I was really expecting this baby to come at any moment, but when I broke my leg, everything just kind of halted. Like, I think my body was just under so much stress and so much pain, so much of the, like, fight or flight hormones that it just couldn't go back to thinking about birth. So I, like, basically all my contractions just pretty much stopped for the next few days, and I just laid on the couch.
You were bedbound, there was
couldn't.
No real moving around, couldn't put weight on it at all, and so so it was a really challenging time, big adjustment for our whole family. Everything that fell on Joelle's plate, which is a lot in any given day, was, I was trying to take care of things, and thankfully we had some help. Like, Joelle's mom came in for a few days leading up to the birth and everything, and so it was, we were kind of like all hands on deck. We needed help, and life looked a little different, and that was like, I don't know. I think everyone was at their tipping point at different times. Like, our kids did amazing. They were super great, but, like, we had some really rough parenting moments. We had some rough marriage moments. We had some rough, child moments, everything. So.
Yeah, and I think that I feel like for me, this whole process was just this big mental game, right? So I was planning this water birth at home, and I found out, my cast is not waterproof. I cannot bear weight. I could not go in the water. And so just everything about what this birth was going to look like was going to be different. And so all the things that I would normally do to try to induce labor, walking or squatting, or I love to move. I'm always moving. I just couldn't do. And so I was bound to the couch. And so really, I feel like that whole week was about just preparing myself mentally, both to just at the moment, like there were some times that it just got really, really painful. Like, my leg just hurt really, really bad. But I feel like, yeah, when that wasn't the case, I feel like my whole time was kind of just basically spent thinking about like doing these positive mental affirmations and birth affirmations and just thinking through like, I can do this, I will do this, and telling myself these positive things. Like that was all I could do to set myself up to have this successful birth when I couldn't go walking or I couldn't do the things to try to get labor going, was just to mentally get in the right headspace to have a baby with a broken leg.
Yeah, that was like our rule of the house, was like, if you're going to be negative about this and focus on the hard stuff, like we don't want you around. Like we just need to keep it positive, stay focused on having a baby, and like moving towards that, because there was certainly plenty of barriers in our way, but we didn't want to focus on those things. We wanted to focus on kind of the end result of getting a new little one to join our family.
So kind of fast forward. So I broke my leg at 40 weeks and 4 days, and then so that was a Wednesday, and then the following Monday I woke up, so I would have been 41 weeks and 2 days. I woke up that following Monday morning with contractions, with regular labor-like contractions, like early labor-like contractions. And so my previous labors in the past have always been long. They've always had at least like a good 12 to 24 hours of early labor contractions. I've never been surprised by labor. I've always known it's coming because I've always just had this long time of early labor. That's how all of my births have started. And so I got those early labor contractions Monday morning where there was a definite shift. Things were changing. And so I was like, okay, this is it. Like we're going to have a baby at some point here in the next 24 to 48 hours, I assumed. And so I called my mom. She came over. My plan was to have my mom and my sister here for the birth, my mom to take care of our kids, and my sister to help kind of act as my doula. And so she came over, and I continued to have these contractions, but to come like the middle of the day on Monday, it got to the point with my leg where it was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. Like I couldn't put my leg in a vertical position. Like if it was propped up, it was okay. But if my leg went to a vertical position, it just, like I was screaming out in pain, and I just like had to lay back down. It hurt so bad. So at that point, thankfully, we were able to call one of the midwives' assistants who is an EMT, and she was able to come over because I think my cast had just gotten too tight because of all the swelling and the fluids from being pregnant and everything like that. And so it was cutting off circulation in my leg. Anyways, it was so painful. And so So anyway, she came over, loosened my cast, which helped some, but it was still very, very just a painful couple of days there. And so I just continued, like I was having this leg pain, but I just continued to have these early labor sort of contractions that just kept coming, but they never sped up.
Yeah. And we didn't mention this earlier, but she couldn't take anything for the pain either because being pregnant. So there was nothing prescribed. Like we just took some like more natural remedy type thing to try and reduce swelling, whatever we could.
Yeah, arnica and
But that was about it. And so you were kind of in that state of just excruciating pain for a few days, and just going to the bathroom was like a huge burden. Like getting up from the couch to the bathroom or the bed to like, it was like I was having to get up throughout the night and help you go to the bathroom, and it was a rough experience. And you had your knee scooter thing, you were scooting around the house,
which was helpful. That was definitely better than crutches. I was thankful to have one of those little knee scooter things. But so that was a couple of days. And then I would say by Wednesday, so that started Monday, the early labor contractions. So my mom was here. I was still having these early labor contractions, right? Like they just didn't pick up. I would say they were probably maybe every 15 to 20 minutes apart, and they continued like all night. I'd be laying down, and I really thought at some point this is going to turn into labor. This is going to pick up. And so it was Tuesday night. I just wasn't sure what was going to happen. It's common, I feel like, for women to go into labor at night. And so come Tuesday night, I called my sister and I said, why don't you just come? Because I just don't know. Like, I'm still having these contractions. They're far apart, but you just don't know when things are going to pick up. And this was our fourth baby, so I feel like things could turn really, really quickly. And so we had her come on Tuesday night. And, I went to bed that night, and again, nothing really happened. They continued to come 15 minutes, 20 minutes apart, but they never picked up. They never intensified. And so we kind of went all through the day like that on Wednesday. And finally, through the day on Wednesday, I feel like was a huge turning point. So my leg finally just started feeling a lot better. So I could move around better. I wasn't in pain every time I put my leg down. I could, get by myself to the bathroom with my little knee scooter. Like I was just, finally it felt like, okay, like the pressure and the pain that I had been experiencing in my leg has subsided some. And so that day, I would say my contractions never picked up, like they never got closer together, but they stayed about 10 minutes apart, but they were intensifying in strength, and they did continue. So that was like all day Wednesday was, okay, my leg's feeling better, my contractions are still there. We all kind of thought like, birth is coming, we just don't know when or what this is going to look like. And so that evening, we were getting ready for bed. It was like 8 or 9 o'clock, and I called my midwife, and I gave her the rundown, like, my contractions are 10 minutes apart, but they're very real, and, we think labor is going to happen at some point. We just don't know when, or we don't know what this is going to look like. And so she just was like, it sounds like you're in early labor, because because they were far apart. I had several minutes between contractions, so I could talk very normally.
Of course, when you call them on the phone, you don't have a contraction, or you're not moaning or anything like that.
I was fine. I was doing pretty well. And so she's like, it sounds like you're in early labor. Why don't you give me a call when things really pick up and intensify? And for the meantime, why don't you just try to get some rest? And so that's what we all did. We all laid down to go to bed. And then I think it was around 10 o'clock that night, it kind of got to the point I was like, I am not going to be resting. I cannot sleep. The contractions still weren't coming quickly, but they were every 10 minutes apart, but they were getting stronger. And they were getting to the point where I couldn't lay down through them. And so I was very limited in the positions that I could go in, but I could do hands and knees. So I would like roll over from my side to my hands and knees to get through a contraction, and then I'd roll back over to my side. And I think Jim was kind of asleep or half asleep during this whole time. So I don't even think he really knew what I was doing.
I knew there was movement going on, but I didn't know like that was, it seemed like baby was starting to come.
Yeah. So I like hindsight 2020, looking back, like when I started going on my hands and knees, the contractions really started getting stronger. At that point was probably the time where I should have called the midwife and said like, okay, even though they're still 10 minutes apart, they're getting stronger and you need to come. But she kind of made it seem like, oh, you're still in early labor. And usually my labors have been pretty long. So I was just kind of like, I don't really know what's going on. I'm sure I'm fine. I'm sure this is going to take a while. So I just kind of stuck it out, and we didn't call. And then it was around 11 o'clock. I had to go to the bathroom. So I got up, I went to the bathroom. I think I told you to come with, I don't remember if I told you to come with me, or I called you while I was in there, or my sister or something.
I think we all kind of went in there together.
Yeah.
I think you had said like, can you get my sister at that point? And we kind of went to the
Yeah.
bathroom and
And that is where I feel like I went from like early labor to like transition. Like, I don't know what happened in between. I feel like I skipped all those steps, but somehow I went from, 10 minutes apart contractions to, at 11, like things just really picked up pretty quickly. And so, so there we all were in the bathroom.
Yeah. Well, and so you got back down on your hands and knees.
Mm-hmm.
We're having really pretty intense contractions, and I mean it wasn't until like 11:30, right, that we
something, I don't know, time is elusive when you're
I think no one really knew where we were at, and we had just called the midwives not too long ago, so we're like, is this still early labor? But things got to the point where we're like, okay, we need to call and we need to get them here right now. So I went and called the midwife, and the midwife on call was actually at another birth at the time, and so she's like, okay, I'm going to get the other midwife that's my backup, and they'll be on the road. But we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere a little bit, so they were like an hour away, a little hour plus away. And so we're like, okay, we got an hour here. Yeah, come as quickly as you can. The assistant was a little closer, like more like half hour, 40 minutes away. And so we're like, okay, we got some time here before anybody comes. But the contractions just kept picking up. So Joelle's sister, who was kind of acting as the doula, she basically became the midwife, but she was like at Joelle's kind of backside monitoring things. I was at her front side checking in with Joelle, and I keep getting these looks from her sister. Like, she kind of looked at me and just would like shake her head no, like after a big contraction, and I thought she was communicating like, no, we're not close. Like, just sit tight. We're good here. But I think she was actually saying like, no, the baby's not coming on this push. Like, we're getting close. And so I was like, probably much more calm than I should have been, because I was like, okay, we're doing good here. and anyways.
Yeah, I was on my hands and knees, and I had one push or like contraction push. I'd never gotten checked. I didn't know, like, I feel like all my other pregnancies, someone had told me like, oh, you're this far dilated. You kind of know where you're at. I had no idea where I was at. I had no idea how quickly baby would be coming. But I had this one contraction where I could just feel, I pushed down and I could just feel like the baby pushed back. Like, it just felt like that was a really productive contraction. The baby went down far. And so I did that. And then I was like, okay, I need to move. And they had given us, because of my broken leg, they had let us rent this birth stool, they call it. And so it's like this 2 feet off the ground.
It's basically like a toilet seat with kind of
a hole in the
with
middle.
a hole, like an area for basically baby to come out and for somebody to get in there and catch the baby. And so
so they I was like, I'm gonna go to the birth stool. So they kind of propped me up so that I was able to sit on this birth stool. And it was literally within probably 30 seconds of sitting on this birth stool, I had a contraction. I pushed, and in a rush, out came a head and out came a baby.
Joelle's sister was like, Jim, get in there and catch it. And I like rushed down, and I was like, okay, here we go. And I had the head in one hand, and then the rest of it came out, and I caught the baby.
Yeah, it happened so fast. I think we were all just like shocked. Because if you had, like, all my other labors have always been just long and slow, and just kind of felt like you have all this time. And so all of a sudden this one just felt like it went from 0 to 60 like that, and then all of a sudden we were like, no one knew what was going on, and there was a baby there.
I was like in denial that it was actually happening until I had the like baby's head in my hand and was catching it out of Joelle, and then we had a baby.
A sweet girl, and we were then like, but I think it was really cool because I feel like the broken leg, like, it was really traumatic. I feel like for me, for like in those days that followed, like there would just be moments where I would just be like sobbing of just fear and terror of like, how in the world am I going to deliver a baby with a broken leg? Like, what is this even gonna look like? And I have never, I had 3 natural births prior, and labor didn't really scare me that much, but the idea of doing labor with a broken leg, like, that was really, really scary. Like, that terrified me. And so I feel like to get to the other side and to have had this, like, just what ended up being like really peaceful birth with Jim and my sister, was just so sweet and so beautiful. And we just knew, and it was a girl, like, we didn't know the gender, so we were so excited that it was this little girl. And she was just doing great. Like, no one, I feel like it was just a lot of peace. No one was concerned. She came out, she was healthy, she was screaming, she was breathing, she was doing everything that babies should do. And she even, like, I feel like all of our other kids have always taken some time before they like start nursing, but literally within a few minutes of being born, like, she just latched on. She was nursing really, really well, like, instantly from the start.
Hungry little girl.
Yeah, she hasn't stopped since. So it was just all these signs of just like, she was doing so well and we were doing well, and it was just an amazing sense of relief and
lots
thankfulness.
And it really was just this like calm, peaceful, kind of serene experience of just like, it just, given all the like turmoil and chaos of the broken leg and everything leading up to that point with the birth, it just felt like just nice and appropriate, and like that's how it was supposed to be, just simple. Go
ahead.
Well, our kids really wanted to be part of they wanted to see the birth,
especially our oldest daughter.
But like, it all happened so fast. We could, like,
and our bathroom is small.
So they were still in bed, but I think everyone was up by that point because there's lots of commotion and stuff.
And here's the other. Sorry, before you share that, right after I had the baby, I was like, Jamie, what time is it? You know, because you always have to see what time it is when the baby is born. And she like grabs her phone and looks at it, and it was like the phone said 12:01. And so we're like, what? Like, we're pretty sure that she came out like at midnight
right
on the nose of like that day. So that was just really fun. A little snippet too.
Yeah, so our kids really wanted to be there for the birth, like Joelle said, especially our oldest daughter, and their bedroom's like literally like right across from the bathroom. So I think by this time they were all up, but everyone was like afraid to come out of their bedroom because, you know, like
they didn't know what was
contractions and moaning and all sorts of noises and things going on. And we just like in the midst of all that, you know, we weren't going to leave Joelle's side because things were happening so fast, and we
didn't really know how quickly things were going to happen either.
So anyway, so we call them out of bed. We're like, come on guys, come and join. We have a baby sister. And they all come rushing out of the room, and we're so excited to see her and meet her. And our oldest daughter was able to actually, once the midwife and midwife's assistant got there, she was able to cut the cord, which was super exciting for her to kind of nice way to welcome your baby sister into the world.
Be a part of it.
So so it was a sweet time.
A sweet night too. Just cuddling together, and we were all so tired, but we were so glad. So relieved. Overall,
it was just such a big relief because, like, you know, broken leg on top of having a baby, like, you just don't know what to expect, what could happen. But like Joelle said, you know, that day leading up to it was really the first time she felt some relief of the pain, and I think.
I think my body just knew, and she knew, I think the baby, you know, she knew that it just wasn't time to come out. Like, I feel like she had to wait until I could handle it and my body could handle it. And it was like the moment that happened, that the day that happened, like she came in a hurry, but not a moment sooner. And I think that's why I had that early labor that went on for like 3.5 days, because it was just up until when she came, my body wasn't in a place where it would have been safe for her to come any sooner. And so they know. I think that's been the biggest lesson of all of this, is just like to trust, like your body knows what it's doing, and it is so capable. You know, like even in a broken leg, you can figure out a way to do it in positions that work and whatever. So if you ever meet anyone who is having a traumatic birth thing and they break a bone or do something that's, you know, it is possible. It is possible. You can do it. So
well, and like we were super thankful. We've had so many people reach out to us with prayer and words of encouragement along the way, and like just knowing we had this whole like team of people all around.
So many people. I was like, I feel kind of bad saying this, but can you pray this baby comes easily and this is an easy birth? And so I feel like we had so many people praying for an easy birth, and you know, and she made it pretty easy. So
slid right on out.
So we were so grateful for that. So that's it. That's the story of how our sweet new girl came into being, came in to join our family. And so we still have a road ahead of us, guys. Like, we are not out of the woods. I just got yesterday. So she's what, 5 days old now? Something like that, 5-6 days old. I just got a walking cast yesterday, like a walking boot thing. So I can now put a little bit of pressure on my leg and move around a little bit on my own. I'm still kind of hobbly and very, very slow, and I will not be doing any big movements anytime soon, but at least I can move around a little bit. But we still have a road to recovery. I've got about 6 weeks in this boot, and then, you know, they said about 3 to 4 months until I can expect, you know, full back to normal activity and healing, but we're gonna get there. And in the meantime, are kind of just enjoying a season. I feel like for me is forced slowness, which is hard for me because I like to do all the things, and so it's been a challenge for us. Figuring out what this is gonna look like. It's added a lot to Jim's plate to do all of the things that he does, plus a lot of the things that I do too, and so we are navigating that and figuring it out.
We're gonna keep it simple, keep it slow, just in these, you know, weeks and maybe even months to follow, and not overdo it. Just take it one day at a time and kind of get back on our feet, right?
Yeah, quite literally back on our feet. So anyways, that's it. That's where we're at. She's here, she's safe, she's healthy, and so are we. And we are gonna try to continue to post weekly videos, but if it's a couple weeks in between, now you know why. So we're gonna do our best here to keep up with you all. But thank you so much for your support, for following along with us, and we'll see you in the next video.